Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Chhoda and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. Folks, there is a split within the Democratic Party about the $1,400 stimulus checks. The Democrats are not talking about this openly. This is thanks to some reporting that's taking place right now, and I'm connecting the dots together for you. Welcome to my channel. This is the Ignition Time channel. We cover important matters related to the country, related to the economy, and related to your money. You're not going to hear President Biden talk about this. You're not going to hear the White House press secretary Jen Psaki acknowledge this, and you're also not going to hear House Speaker Pelosi shining a light on this. Here we go. On your screen, you'll see a tweet from Sahil Kapoor, who's a national political reporter for NBC News. And Sahil points out that the Democrats are going to approve $1,400 stimulus checks. We all know this because President Biden has said he's not going to budge from the $1,400 stimulus checks. But there is division within the Democrats because of who gets the check. There's clear division amongst them. Keep in mind the conservative Democrat, the centrist Democrat, however you want to look at Joe Manchin. There he is. Hello, Senator Manchin. He's from West Virginia. And he, along with Senator Susan Collins from Maine, there she is. Hello, Senator Collins from Maine. They actually put together an amendment, the Manchin Collins amendment, that received 99 votes from 99 senators, and just one person voted against it. Ironically, that was Rand Paul. What's up, Rand? Not quite sure what he's up to, but the likelihood of further targeting of the stimulus checks is increasing by the day. The original American Rescue Plan included stimulus checks for those making up to $75,000 a year, and then it began to phase out after that for single filers. The new plan is to lower the threshold from $75,000 down to $50,000, which means individuals making from 50 to 75 would start to see a smaller check based on how much they earn. And if you made more than $75,000 a year, based on your most recent tax returns, then you would not get a $1,400 stimulus check at all. Now, here's the interesting thing. Ron Wyden and independent Bernie Sanders from Vermont want to keep the $75,000 as it is. In other words, for single filers, if they make up to 75, they get the full 1,400, and from 75 to 100, it begins to phase out. So there are essentially factions within the Democratic Party that are at odds with each other. It starts with the conservative Democrat, once again from West Virginia, Joe Manchin, who wants to lower the threshold. And right here, you have Ron Wyden and Bernie Sanders, who want to keep it exactly where it is. So again, Joe Manchin wants to lower it to $50,000, and Ron Wyden, as well as the independent Bernie Sanders from Vermont, want to keep it at $75,000. And folks, what's interesting is today, President Biden publicly acknowledged that he was open to further targeting of the stimulus checks, but he did say he's not going to budge on the amount. In other words, the amount is going to remain at $1,400. We are going to see $1,400 stimulus checks because the president said he wants to keep his campaign promise. In addition, Jon Ossoff from Georgia, the newly minted senator in Georgia, remember he's just 33 years old. He's the youngest senator in the United States Senate, and Reverend Raphael Warnock in Georgia also want the $1,400 checks to go out because, as far as they're concerned, it was a campaign promise not just from President Biden but for their re-election as well. On your screen, you'll see the headline of an article from NBC News which reads, Senate Democrats split on who should receive $1,400 checks. Now, they're not budging on the size of the check. Everyone I mentioned so far in this video is firm on the size of the check, $1,400, but they are divided and they are at odds with each other as far as who should get the check and what should be the income thresholds for this check. If you remember, the income threshold for the $1,200 check, the income threshold for the second stimulus check, the $600, started at $75,000 for single filers. Now the question is, the third stimulus check, which is $1,400, is that threshold going to go from $75,000, which is where the first two checks were, down to $50,000? We'll have to wait and see. Now, folks, what's really interesting as far as the Manchin and Collins amendment is concerned is that this amendment seeks to, I quote, ensure upper income taxpayers are not eligible for the checks. Now, I have a question for you. What is the definition of upper income taxpayers? Guess what? I don't think Senator Joe Manchin knows, and I don't think Senator Susan Collins from Maine knows. Why? Because they didn't define it. How interesting. Speaking of interesting, Senator Angus King from Maine, who generally tends to vote with the Democrats, did support the Manchin-Collins amendment, but he said he does not have a detailed threshold in mind, but he believes that it should be refined. I do think it needs to be reduced from what the president has proposed. That's what King said. So it's interesting. Everybody's saying, yeah, let's reduce it, let's reduce it. But oh, as far as what it is and what the number is, I don't want to get locked into that. Let someone else decide. That's what's going on right now. And folks, like I mentioned earlier, Senator Ron Wyden, who's a Democrat from Oregon, and he's the Senate Finance Committee chairman, he doesn't want any change, and neither does Bernie Sanders, the independent senator from Vermont. By the way, Bernie Sanders is a Senate Budget Committee chairman. Let's start with a comment from Ron Wyden. Ron Wyden said that he's not for changing the threshold because that would exclude many Americans who are expecting relief. This is a direct statement from Ron Wyden, the Democrat from Oregon. He said the people who got 2 checks already are expecting a third on the basis of the pledges and what was said through the campaign. They have bills piling up and they have difficulty paying their car insurance. In the meantime, the Senate Budget Chairman, Bernie Sanders, who's clearly in favor of the reconciliation process, said he will insist on a threshold of $75,000 per person per single filer and $150,000 per couple before it begins to phase down, which is basically what happened with the first check of $1,200 and the second stimulus check of $600. He said that Democrats agree that Americans making more than that should not get the full payment. I don't think there's much argument, says Bernie. We don't want to see people making $300,000 to $400,000 benefit from this. And folks, I mentioned John Ossoff earlier, the new senator from Georgia, the Democrat. He said, and I quote, "I'm advocating that we go big and that we deliver as much direct relief to the people as we can." And folks, speaking of Democrats, a prominent Democrat, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio Cortez from New York, she chimed in on this. You'll see her tweet on your screen. She's actually replying to Sahil's reporting from NBC News. And Congresswoman Ocasio Cortez says, "We cannot cut off relief at $50,000. It is shockingly out of touch to assert that $50,000 is too wealthy to receive relief." Now, folks, I want to explain. $50,000 may go a long way in certain parts of the country, but it doesn't in other parts of the country. But I don't even think we should actually go there. That's why you don't see me talking too much about cost of living on our channel, because just because someone lives in Alabama doesn't mean that they deserve less relief than someone living in New York. So that is, the cost of living is completely separate. Now, as far as the threshold is concerned, I have done another video talking about why I don't think that the stimulus check thresholds should be lowered. Hopefully, they don't lower the stimulus check thresholds, but let's get back to the tweet from Congresswoman Ocasio Cortez. She says, "Millions are on the brink of eviction. Give too little and they're devastated. Give too much and a single mom might save for a rainy day. This isn't hard." Wow, pretty powerful comments as we've come to expect from Congresswoman Ocasio Cortez. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I appreciate you watching. If you learned something new, please click the like button. Please subscribe. Please enable notifications. I would really appreciate that. Really appreciate that. That really helps out the YouTube algorithm, and that makes me super happy, and that puts a big smile on my face like this. Sometimes I dance, sometimes I do a crazy break dance, and sometimes I show you a goofy smile. Anything for a like. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next video. Appreciate it. Bye.